Welcome to Woodcraft Revival, where we talk about all things wood on this channel. Today, we're going to fire up the mill because we've got to do a temporary conversion of our handy-dandy utility trailer here to become a trunk or treat hayride wagon. So come along, let's see what we can do. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Troy, what in the wide world of sports have you gotten yourself into? Well, you know, if I didn't overextend myself, life would be boring. So what we've got going on, our church, which is about 2,000, 3,000 people usually, decent sized church here for West Virginia. We have started this event and we've done it for years now. It's Trunk or Treat. And we do it Sunday after church, and we have as many as 5,000 to 7,000 people descend on our campus as volunteers from our church. They decorate their trunks, decorate the cars. If you're not familiar with that, it's like a candy giveaway type of thing, but you use your car to decorate. Instead of the kids coming around to your house, they all come on the central location, and we'll kind of walk around the parking lot and interact. And it's really become a big deal. When we get 5,000 to 7,000 people on our church campus, you know, they're there primarily for the candy and that interaction, but we get to fellowship with them. We get to give them information about our church. We get to give them information about the gospel. We get to pray with them if they need to pray, and then just invite them back to church. We do a big Christmas push, so we invite them to come back for Christmas. That's where people are the least uneasy about attending church, is around the Christmas season. So it's just a great way to reach the community, introduce them to the church, and just invite them back. That's all it is. No cost, no obligations. So part of that, as we grow this event and make it more like a fall festival, part of that is a hayride. And one of our pastors has asked me to participate and provide the hayride wagon. So I was going to use my tractor. Where's my tractor? There's my tractor. I was going to use my tractor. It's big. It's not very sexy looking right now. So Dad's actually going to use his smaller tractor. He'll be the tractor. This will be the trailer. And we'll put hay in it. And of course, we'll do a ride, let the kids enjoy it. So what do I need to do? Well, the problem is right now with the standard utility trailer, these sidewalls aren't very high. And when I put bales of hay in here, we'll line a bale of hay on each side. So it'll be little seats, probably do a U shape. If we do that, my fear, of course, is hit a bump and a kid falls off backwards. That's no bueno. We don't want to kill kids on Trunk or Treat. We want them to enjoy the evening. So I think what I'm going to do, and of course I don't want to modify this thing permanently because it does a lot of work here on the farm. So I think what I'm going to do is fire up the mill. I've got some scrub pieces. I've got a couple poplar here that are a little long in the teeth. I think I've got a couple still up on the hill that I can drag down. And we'll just mill enough material to make kind of a guardrail or a handrail. We'll non-permanently attach it to this area so that when people are sitting, you imagine hay bale sits about like this height. So they're sitting inside like this, then we'll just have something here that can be used as a handrail, even can support weight if they lean back against it. And I think that'll be easy to do. The downside is I have one day to get it done, and that'll be tomorrow. Today is pretty much gone. So I'm just planning, kind of orchestrating in my mind what I need to do. But I really only have one day to get it done because the days leading up to Trunk or Treat are totally booked. And I've got other obligations that have to be met. So let's get out some logs, fire up the mill, and make some sawdust. You know, I purposely didn't re-edit that simply because I want to show you, this is how my mind works. I have always been a ready, fire, aim kind of guy. So before we fire up the mill, let's get an idea of what we need for a cut list. So this trailer, I think, yes, it's 13 inches long. I remember that just being an odd trailer when I bought it. 13 inches long. It's supposed to be a double four-wheeler trailer, I believe, was how it was marketed. So I see 13 inches, 13 feet. Goodness, 13 feet long. And then I believe it is only 5 feet inside box. Yes, actually 59 3/8 inches. So just a cat's whisker under 5 feet wide. So what I'm thinking is, just imagine, I've got a piece of scrap wood right here. We're going to do kind of like handrails. So if I take a poplar log, and probably could get 7 or 8 inches wide with some of the logs I have, maybe some of the ones I got up on the hill. Then 8-inch wide board, 8-inch wide board. I think I could get away with only one, not have to do 2 8-inch. I'm not trying to make a solid wall. Just imagine a backrest. So 8-inch wide, it can have a little bit of a gap here. So that requires one 13-footer, two 13-footers, and a 5-footer. Or if I can't come up with 13, then obviously I could do 8, cut it in half. That gives me 12, or I could do 8 or 10 and splice together whatever I need. Now for the verticals, what I'll do, and like I said, I'm not drilling holes in my trailer. I'll use this piece of white oak scrap that I have as a test to make sure this is going to work. Picture it in my mind and it looks extravagant. So let's cut that about 13 inches. So this is a neat little trick my dad taught me. Isn't it cool how dads can teach you so many things? So let's imagine this is my vertical. Obviously it's not going to be that tall. I'm just going to stick it flush on the inside. And since I cut this piece to be longer than this opening here at 13 inches, then I can put a screw here and a screw here, and that basically will clamp that together. So I'm not putting any holes in my trailer. Clamps that turkey down really, really tight, and it gives me that vertical I need to put my backrest boards on. So I can just figure out how many verticals I need and even mill it. This is roughly a 1x2. Probably make them a little beefier than that, since we'll most likely be using poplar. And so I'm thinking if I do one of those, even if I did one per stanchion, which would be overkill, these vertical boards, 1, 2, 3, maybe 1, 4, 5, 6, yeah, probably 6. Then that would be 12, so we'd have a 13-inch piece, and then I think for the vertical that's going to hold the backrest, that would be 2 feet. I think that would be plenty. Maybe to be safe, we go to 30 inches. So 6 30s is 180 inches. So that's what, 10-foot board plus, oh yeah. So we could get that done with like 4 or 5 boards that we can then rip down into maybe 2x2, something like that, or 1x3s, something with a little more girth to it, 2x3s. I think that'll be fun. And for the back here, I was debating whether or not to try to even put a little gate or a little door. Something like that would be kind of cool, but I'm running out of time. Since I've got my ramp channel here, that's another way that I can maybe reinforce those corners to be strong. And maybe just, since a hay bale is going to stick out to about right here, maybe just put a diagonal. And I don't mind screwing down to my wood deck, put a diagonal in there to brace that, but then that also forms a little bit as a handrail. What I'll do is, Dad's going to be driving, I'm going to be loading and unloading people, so I'll just make sure that if anybody sits on the tail end here, it's an adult or an older kid, that I don't have to worry about them losing their balance and simply rolling off the back of the trailer. You're only 1.5 feet off the ground, but still, we don't want anybody rolling out. So probably do that. Keep it from being a trip hazard, but making it some sort of safety. And if it's a huge deal, then we'll just box it out as well. We'll just see how it goes. Design build, right? This plate's about ready to be changed out. So I'm going to knock the rust off of it first. Maybe try to square my can, then swap the blade out. The score's better when the rust is off of it. Okay, so I think that one log will suffice, and what we ended up with, what I milled were four 4/4 boards that are 8 inches wide, of course 4/4 being 1 inch thick, and then I milled some 6/4 that are, I believe those are, yeah, those are 3 3/4. And then I milled 2 boards that, actually 3 boards that are just 4/4, and they're 3 3/4. Needed thinner because when I go to clamp on those, screw through to clamp into my verticals, I want to make sure I've got long enough hardware. So the first thing we need to do is get the trailer cleared off, and we can start laying stuff out. And what I'm thinking, just because I like to overdo stuff, is, I think I said 6 on either side. I think every other one we're going to make taller than we need to, because I've got some lights. I want to put some lights on it that I can then power those lights with one of my solar generators. I'll just put that in the toolbox. And since we'll be going past 7 o'clock, so that will be after the sun goes down. So we'll have a lighted hay wagon there at the end. I think that'll be a nice little feature. So what that'll allow me to do is every other one comes up enough, that kind of gives me some poles to string my lights around. I need to determine how high I want my non-light pole. Okay, so I definitely want my clamp boards to be 14 inches. So we'll start with those. Let's make 6 of those. We'll work on one side here, kind of adjust as we go along. So let's do 14, 28, 42, 56, 70, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one more, and then 84. All right, so for my short verticals, my non-light bearing verticals, I think we're going to go with 30 inches. So I'm excited to kind of do a soft rollout of a partner with the channel, and that's U2 Fastners. And I've been working with these for a bit now, just testing them out. In fact, over on Red Tool House, if you saw the solar dolly that we created up at camp, built all that out of U2 Fastners. And you think, okay, screw is a screw. That is not the case. These things are the deal, and they've got a wide variety of styles and lengths, but they do all the way up to the real big boys that be using for post and beam type stuff. And we may incorporate those, we're definitely going to incorporate those into our timber frame project to hold some things down. But I'm going to put all this together with this U2 Fasteners that they sent. So we've got some 10 by 4s, 10 by 3.5. So we got some 9 by 2s. I've even got a sample box, and then let's see. Yeah, I've got another little sample bag with different type of bits in them and big honking screws. So I really appreciate you two sending me those things to give a try out. Yeah. So anxious to use those on this project. And the thing I've noticed is, you don't have to have that forward pressure to try to get the screw to bite. The way those are designed, they grip and dig in super quick. So when you're in a precarious position, you can't get that leverage you need. It works out great. So, all right, enough chit chat. Okay, for the sake of not running out of material, I'm going to go ahead and do all my 30 inches around the whole sides, and then come back and do my taller ones to hold my lights. And depending on how long of material I got left will allow me to determine the height of the light. So, all right, change of plan. I'm afraid when I started standing these things up, to get a height that would make sense to have some lights strung, it really starts to make the thing look like a cage because it's so beefy. And I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and do everything at 30 inches, put my backrest boards on, see how that goes, and either come back with something smaller, whether it's something I mill, like smaller furring strips, 1 by 1, something like that, that looks thinner as it comes up and doesn't look like putting people in a cage. And then string the lights from that. I think that would have a better look to it. So I can go ahead and finish out everything at 30, put my backrests on, and then we'll figure out our light attachment. Just trying to be too clever here. You know what happens when you do that. Okay, yeah, that doesn't look so much like a cage. All right, so I'm going to take my 1x8s, and I will start here at the end, work my way that way, figure out, because I had 12-foot material, of course, and really need 13 foot, actually a little less than 13 feet, but not enough that I can get it out of 12. So we'll probably come to this last one here, half that, and then splice it in. We'll also want to tie these in nicely. Had to use some of 1-bys for these last two 30-inch verticals. Made the mistake. I should have cut one more 6/4 and one less 4/4 of the 3/4 inch, or 3 3/4 inch, but it is what it is. That'll still be rigid enough, and if anybody's leaning against that, it's not a big span that's going to be a problem. I'm going to go flush with the top of the board. I'm going to raise these up just a little bit because the these verticals are 30, but they're sitting on the frame, whereas everything else is sitting on the wood flooring, which is a little bit proud of the frame. So we want to make things flush, toilet flush. Well, in typical Troy fashion, I have found myself up against it. So I have less than 2 hours to get this thing finalized and be headed toward the church, because the event is today and it starts at 3. And we just got back from church, grabbed a quick bite here to figure this out. So what the heck are we doing? So light posts to string our lights, and then also want to put a safety rope. I think I've got that figured out, the engineering of that, not a big deal there, but need to find my verticals. And I think what I'm going to do is take my extra 8-inch wide boards that have some wane, and I'm going to take them back up to the mill, resaw those down to basically 1x1s. And I'll just attach them. I'll put them here on the top of the metal rail and attach them, screw them through the 2x material here, and then just have them stick up. So I think probably about 4 feet. These were what, 10 feet? But I've cut some off the end of them. Anyway, should be able to get 2 out of each. So I got plenty of material. Just got to whip it together. And we'll probably just do 3 on the long sides, 2 are the front, so I'll be able to take my lights and do a little U shape. And then I'll have to run an extension cord down the back to plug in because I want my battery, my solar controller, to be here in the toolbox. So let's resaw. I'll bring you guys with me and we'll resaw real quick and get that put together. All right, so we'll definitely need to be using our log stops. Oh, nuts! Those are too short. That's where I need that log rest to be, here and not here. So I'm taking for granted you guys know what the heck I'm talking about. So let me just show you. So we got to stand these boards up on their edge. And of course we need a stop to keep them from falling over. Well, my Norwood only came with 2 stops. I have yet to upgrade to add additional. So I can foul it there, but my stop's too far gone that way. It's like at 8 feet, or just a cat's whisker under 8 feet. These are obviously shorter than 8 feet. So what do you do in that situation? Are you just messed over? No, this is why we go to the slab pile and we find a nice clean slab that's got some girth to it. Oh, here goes one now. Good night. That's a little too much girth. Alrighty, let's go. So now, I can get my fingers underneath it. Aha! I use that as a cheat. Everybody loves a cheat, right? So what I'm going to do is, of course, that holds this in place, allows me to, I'll just sacrifice this slab, and it'll give me the hold that I need as I resaw this. Trash. Not good enough to trash that. Alright, so there's a keeper. No good there. Should just use the slab. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 8 actually, don't I? Alright, let's do a test here. I was supposed to change that blade out. In fact, you guys probably have noticed that. It's like, Troy, didn't you say you were going to change that blade out after you squared the cant? Yep, and I didn't. It was still cutting so good. But now it definitely needs changed. But now I don't have any time. So what did I say? 7 feet, actually 7 feet, almost 8 inches. 92, so that's 46. Yeah, 46 inches is halfway. Oh yeah, that'll work. Cool. So let's play whack-a-mole and whack the rest of those in half. Well, I kind of got a little overzealous there and thought I had enough hooks to hang my wire, but I can't find my brass hooks. Shocker there. Can't find stuff I'm looking for. So, we're going to do some kerfs. I believe my wire's skinny enough to go down in there. So one last thing I want to do for this it's more of a psychological barrier than it is a physical barrier, is just put a little safety rope here. And this rope is actually some rope I've had hanging up for a while. It's from the boys' old pool. One of those above ground pools that, to keep the legs from splaying out, they had a rope going around it. So when the pool went the way of the dodo, I thought, hey, rope. Let's keep some rope. You can always have, you can never have enough rope, right? So I think what I'm going to do is I've got a little handle and I've got an eyelet bolt and I've got an oversized carabiner clip over here. So I think, yeah. So that'll be the clip. Goes into the eyelet. That's the perfect length for that. So we're going to drill that. You know, what's crazy is I'm going to use this for about 4 hours and then I'm going to have to take it all back apart. Oh well. Alright, so I got a split washer and a nut. So we got this big carabiner and we'll just do a big ugly knot through it. And I'm not sure where Kelly got this carabiner. It's funny, it says right on it, not for climbing. And if you could feel the weight of it, it's like, yeah, I wouldn't trust that with a cat. I don't really like cats. All right, test time. There we go. Just enough to give you a false sense of security, right? All right, so let's get it up to the house and get it hooked up to the truck and put the lights on. All right, I got 45 minutes. And you may be wondering, Troy, do you have a costume you have to put on? No. My plan was to go as a grumpy old farmer. Really don't have to dress up much for that. All right, so I've got these little inexpensive LED lights. I actually bought these the last time I did a hayride many, many years ago. So, I don't know if I used the same trailer or not. Alrighty. So, see if my kerf worked. Yeah. I think what I'll do here is take this extension cord. We'll have this plugged in. And I'll probably just zip tie it. So I was thinking about I was going to put my solar generator in the toolbox, but I realized my toolbox is actually a weatherproof toolbox, so I can't have an extension cord come out. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll just ratchet strap this to the top of the toolbox. Not when we're going down the road, of course. We'll set all this up once we get to the church. But we'll have that tied together, and that should function the way we need it to.
Thanks for being here. We'll start in 15 minutes. We'll come back and give us the gift then.
I don't find it all. Man, you need a picture.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. All right, you did a wonderful job keeping everybody. All right, thank you for coming. Which one of y'all dropped your bag? Who dropped their candy bag? Okay, it only cost you a couple candy bars, okay?
What?
I only took a couple candy bars to get it back for you, okay? I'm kidding. All right. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Did you get everything? Next round. Come on, ladies. Hop on all the way to the front if you would, please. You can climb up on the back of those bales and sit on them. Hello, hello. Hey, Pam. Oh, you all hobbling along, aren't you?
Tore a tendon somehow.
Oh, gracious. Let's see. We can try it if you want. You want to try it? You two of you?
Squeeze in there.
Squeeze in. You guys can just tighten up as much as you can. Take a deep breath and slide over. Awesome. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, sweetie. You're going to hold on to her so she doesn't fall out, I assume. Very good. All right. Please, if you see anybody try to jump on, just discourage them from doing so. His tongue's hanging out. I think we're going to bring 2 tractors next year. Everybody made it back. All right, very good. Nobody fell off. Didn't pick up any new. All right, y'all have a wonderful evening. So we're in our last hour of a 4-hour gig of doing a hayride here. And I gotta say, this place is jamming. We've had, I talked to one of the directors here, and I believe we've had almost 6,000 people come through. Not in the hayride, but in the whole event. But we've been going nonstop. Dad and I have been taking turns driving, and it's just been really, really fun. I think next year we're gonna have to have two tractors and 2 wagons, because we've had a queue that's been, at one time, was probably 200 feet long. So we're trying to cycle as quickly as we can, but it's been pretty cool. Just another great opportunity to get out in God's creation, spend some time with my folks, people that I hold dear, and I pray that you can do the same as well. Thank you so much for watching.